Hey everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. I'm your host, Napalm Dawn. In the background is my old video for PvP Season 31 wrap-up. This is not the alpha or a live game or anything. This is an old video that I'm using for a backdrop as we discuss several new topics. The me that's down there in the lower left corner is not the current me. That was the me of PvP Season 31. As you can see, you got the Wub Wob device, which is essentially the Lucio cannon. Looks like I was running the suicide team in the background over there. This is also where we got the Infiltrator Vortex suit. And it was also where we got Songbird, who was not really that good. She's actually okay-ish in Marvel Future Fight. She was meh in Marvel Avengers Alliance. As soon as the Songbird recruited screen goes away, we'll be able to see the team that it was running that season, and I'm pretty sure it was a suicide team. So there's Songbird, who is on the Thunderbolts. Okay, yep, that's Spirit Edge, Mystic, the Vampire Sword, the Corned Beef, and the Phylactery, which was one of the most broken things in the game if you knew what to do with it. So, let's get on to the video. So, I've got two major topics here that I want to get out of the way. I'll do one first, and I'll do the more serious one, or more involved one, second. So, the first thing that I want to get out of the way, and there's been a lot of discussion about this lately. I don't know why this has cropped up all of a sudden. I've had it 3 times in about 2 weeks, although potentially the person who mentioned it today may have also been hey, look, there's Deathlocket. I wonder if I'll click on her. If you remember, Deathlocket's sprite was bugged, where originally, like, the gun was on her left arm on the thumbnail, but then it was her right arm on the sprite. I think they did fix it at some point, but there's Blue Beetle, which is funny because that honestly looks like Nadia's Wasp outfit. But anyway, so the topic at hand, I don't know why this has come up so much recently, is will there be a mobile version of Marvel Avengers Alliance? So the history of it is that there was a Android slash Windows Phone version, there was the iOS version, there was Facebook, and then there was Playdom. The biggest pile of trash out of the 4 was very much the Android version. The Android Windows Phone version was woefully behind all the others, and it had probably some of the most bugs, had some of the most stuff missing from it and everything. It was the absolute most garbage version of it. After that was the iOS, which was considerably more up to date, but very much behind the main progression, and generally didn't do too bad. The Windows and Android development cycle stopped super early, way far ahead of the game. The iOS version was a little bit tighter to when the game died, but it still kind of fell off the planet while the Facebook version was still going. And we honestly should have seen the signs. I wonder why that's only 480 potato. Oh, because it was clipped from Twitch. That's why. Sorry for the 480 potato and the slightly blurry text. It's because it was a conversion from a Twitch live stream. So we should have known, like, when the Android stopped completely and then iOS started waning and stopped, we should have probably smelled what was in the water there, and we didn't know. It kind of came as a surprise. But the last 2 versions were Playdom and Facebook. I believe at the time that when Playdom and Facebook were live, Facebook was the more populated one. That's what I thought, simply because they closed the Playdom one in reference to the Facebook one and moved everybody over. So it seemed like they would move people from the small one to the big one. Damn. Top 0.29%. That was a pretty good season, I guess. Um, but most people's stories that I heard made it sound like they originally started on the played-on version and then were forcefully migrated, yeeted over to the Facebook version, as it were. So I don't really know. At their height, I don't know if Facebook or Playdom, which one beat each other out over there. Somebody who has that kind of data would have to tell me, because I really don't know. I want to believe the Facebook version was bigger than Playdom, but potentially not. So when it comes to making a mobile game, there are several responses there. One, if you're asking for a mobile version, you either have no concept of what it is like to recreate this game from the semi-scratch that we have, and you just don't understand coding or the logistics of this at all, and I'll be getting to that later in the video. Or you're just a pushy asshole who thinks that that's all that everybody's doing is making this game and then converting it and everything like that. I want to believe that more people just don't understand the concept of how incredibly tough this is to create, let alone convert it to another version. I want to believe it's that and not that you're a pushy asshole, but I really can't tell, and with some of the responses from people, it kind of makes me wonder. Here's the problem with it being outside of just the PC. For Android, which was the least populated version when it was live, it is easier for somebody to install an unknown source APK. So if this game was made into an Android game, it would be made into an APK, and those are very easy to sideload because Android has a security setting that says install from unknown sources. This sounds dangerous, and Google tries to make it sound like you're entering Mad Max territory. You're not. Very, very popular things like Amazon's services and even Epic's Fortnite is installed from an unknown source. Anything other than the Google Play Store. So if an APK was ever made for Android, it really wouldn't be that hard to distribute. We would just put it up on a mega server or web server somewhere, and as long as you downloaded it, you could even download it to your PC and via cable transfer it to your phone or something like that. My god, I have a ton of buffs from just FISA. Holy shit. I have 11 and 10 buffs over here. All you need to do is get the APK on the phone somehow, and oh, by the way, there's the bug with the suit. So if you notice, the Vortex suit is really another agent in purple translucence anchored at your center. So it sort of has an anchor point in your chest. And he's going through combat motions overlaid on top of you. In case you've ever not figured that out, that's what the Vortex suit was, is essentially a translucent agent overlaid on top of you. But anyway, so the APK, an Android version, would be easier to load. iOS versions, 99.9 repeating out to the end of the universe will not ever be a thing. And here's why. iOS files are IPAs. IPAs are not as easily sideloaded as an APK. As a matter of fact, Apple has begun to kill that in recent years. So it used to be if you had an IPA and you put it on your computer and you pushed it up to your iOS device through iTunes, the iTunes app on your computer could do it. But that has been taken away. You have to be jailbroken in order to sideload an IPA at this point. There are some ways around it. If you have a developer account, there are some utilities that allow you to do it where you sign the unsigned IPA and push it, but you're limited to like 5 in a week or something like that. It's a giant pain in the ass. So you iOS guys, you just give up hope now. First of all, Android and iOS, none of you guys should be asking this question of us ever again. Either on Discord, Facebook, my videos. It is not a question that warrants any kind of response at this point. But you iOS users are really, really screwed unless you're jailbroken. So just pretty much don't even think about it. Like, it's really not going to happen. If you're jailbroken, it's a little bit different. So with that out of the way about the mobile versions, let's talk about what the game actually is. The game is a Shockwave Flash file. If you were on a computer, you'd simply run the Windows executable that Goofy has packaged up. However, if you are not on a Windows-based operating system like a Mac or Linux, you would need to be able to run a local Shockwave file, and that's done by getting Adobe Director. That's how Mac people can do it, is they get Adobe Director, they get the SWF, and then they load it that way. It's similar to getting Office and loading a dock. Wow, that was a lot of wins down the stretch. Even a defensive win over there. You sort of like getting a dock or an XLS and then double clicking on it and opens up in Word and Excel respectively. Same thing, you got to get the SWF, you have to have Adobe Director, you double click on it, and it should hopefully two defensive wins there at the end. But a lot of losses, good God. It's a lot between attacks over there. That's what the end of season looked like, in case you forgot. I think what I'm about to do over here is potentially look for... I think there was a cheater in this mix over here. I don't remember. Anyway, so that's how you would load it on non-Windows operating systems, is you get the zip file, you unzip it, you run the SWF with whatever is the application handler for it. So that's that deal. The next part of this video, the second half, this is the more sad part. But I've been sitting on this and sitting on... Oh, that's my defense team. So that's the Lantern of Doom, one piece of the Psychic set, the Cube, the Colossus Fist, and the Lunacy, I think that was. The greenish silver one at the right. I think that's the one that did the strained. Let's see if I guessed them all right. I don't seem to be mousing over it. It looks like I'm looking at my agent. I know that second piece over there. That's the one that's kind of like that does the scroll thing, and what Pesty did is it makes it so you can't get buffs and removes them. It's that I think it was the Psychic Operator, but I definitely know the Lantern and I know the Cube. Or the Techno-Organic Skeleton. I'm sorry, that's what that fist is. It's not the, not exactly the Colossus Fist, but the Techno-Organic one. And, oh, yep, damn it, it was too quick. Alright, so, yep, Cube. Great. Apparently my past self is not cooperating with me over here. So, I have always been, you know, the cheerleader for this project, and I've been sitting on this thought, yep, Psychic Operator, for some time. That's the Lunacy. Yeah, Strayed Men, okay. For some time now, and I haven't really wanted to discuss it, but it's Techno-Organic Endoscaling. Okay, I remembered it right. It's about time that I have to, like, I have to be honest to you, the watchers and the listeners, and I have to be honest to myself over here and what I'm feeling, and I can't sit on this emotion anymore. I'm getting a little concerned with the progress. And I know this is where everybody gasps and 3 of you are going to faint, so all pregnant women, make sure your arms and legs are inside the vehicle and everything. There hasn't been a super amount of progression code-wise that I've seen over the last month, and I'm really, really itchy to get new content out to you guys, get a new version, maybe getting a version with a save state and progression, everything like that. And this is between me and you. This isn't something I've discussed on Discord or Facebook. This is not something that other people are sharing. I'm a loner right now in this. I'm lone wolfing this one over here, to quote The Hangover. I'm just getting a little concerned, and all the teams are really doing their work phenomenally. Like the writing team and character development, those guys are all putting in a lot of work. I'm getting a little bit concerned with the coding, and that's because I think I realize every single aspect that is going into this game and what it's going to take to get into a working state again. Obviously, when you had the game, no matter what version you had, Facebook played on mobile, the game had your local client install and your local files cached if it was the browser, APK and the OBB files if you were Android, and so on and so forth. You had a bunch of the files, but you communicated to a server for your profile. To retrofit a game to essentially look locally, or think of it internally, to get your progress and your progress checking and your state checking and all of that, that seems a very, very tall order in my coding mind. Networking wise, there is a way of fooling everything. If the Facebook version of the game was hard-coded to hit a specific IP address for the Playdom servers, the Facebook Playdom servers, I should say, you just got to find that IP address, and you could technically fool it by changing the code to be your loopback address, which is 127.0.0.1. That is essentially your own network device, no matter what it is, where you are on the planet, what you have. That is always your local port, essentially. So you could fool that, and you could stop the outbound traffic, and you can route it locally. But the thing is, how do you replicate what was on the server for save states? Like, that to me just seems really a really tough mountain to get over, because your local game called out to the Playdom server and said, okay, this is Agent AP Johnson. What is his status? What does he have in his inventory? What is his characters, his gear? All of this that you see on the screen was stored somewhere different than the actual playable game. Changing that kind of scares me a little bit. I'm concerned about that progression over there. Save state, and this kind of came up today, like, what if you're running a time-limited event in this game when it goes live, and you screw with the clock on your computer to give you more time? I believe the answer is that is you face save state corruption, so don't even try. That's an old trick. You go back to 1998 and you wanted to do your demo version of Office 97, you just flip the year back. Like, everybody's wise to that now. It doesn't work, and if you absolutely needed to cheat in this game, I think you're a fucking idiot if you're trying to cheat in this offline game that is coming back, because who are you competing against? Do I think you're an idiot if you cheat in Doom or StarCraft and put in a cheat code? No, absolutely not. But trying to ask or run things like leet hacks and all the other Brazilian-based hacks that were out there for the game and everything, just don't. Like, don't even bother asking anybody. Don't even bother coding one or creating one. It's fucking stupid. It is absolutely fucking stupid to try that. Just play the game and progress like everybody else, because who are you fighting against? What dick do you think you need to drag across your friends that you are in chapter 3 already when everybody else is in chapter 2? Like, who cares? There's not a race over here, and nobody's going to give a shit about your progression, because you're still going to be dealing with energy, and if you're obscenely far in the game from everybody else and you were launch day and everybody else around you was launch day, it's going to be obvious. Like, there's still going to be an energy system, and if you're so far progressed, clearly you've done something to the game. So just don't even bother. The other thing that really concerns me about the game are sprites and the animated sprites. Like, the loading artwork and this that you see here, if this was a static image, I don't think this would be too bad. It's the animations and the sprite work that concern me, and I don't know that anybody yet has. I don't know that anybody has stepped up and said, like, I'm an animator, I'm a sprite person, I can do that. I haven't heard it. We have lots of writers, we have lots of character developers. Anything that is text, and mind-based is really, really good right now. But the artists and everything, like new characters and animations and sprites, they're the ones that really, really concern me. Sure, you could take Moondragon, put a little hair on her, and recolor her, and then you might have Polaris. I get that. But how do you come up with a unique sprite that is not in the game and has a skeleton that can be animated and everything? Like, if you look at Spitfire, she was a unique skeleton. Like, she wasn't anybody else. How do we do that? Like, that's one thing that I admit, because I'm not a coder. My girlfriend is. She knows all that kind of stuff, and she is an extremely talented artist. But by the same token, animating is a lot different. Like, we probably have several really good artists that could do a thumbnail or a dialogue screen and all of that. That would probably be easy. It's just that my brain is not getting wrapped around sprite work, especially unique skeletons. You talk to any World of Warcraft player, and you'll be like, oh, hey, this new mount is coming out. Oh, it's a reskin of so-and-so. And everybody gets upset when a new sexy mount comes out and they realize it's just a reskin of an existing mount. It has the same wire hanger or skeleton inside of it. I don't know that the game would be a lot of fun if we just, like Spitfire there, the way her mask is and the way her almost fingers are kind of claw-like or talon-like, a simple recolor could probably turn her into Hellcat or Black Cat even, and she'd have the same skeleton. But how long would you really want to go through with that? Like, you want somebody who can invent new bodies to be animated, and that's definitely one of the things that gets to me a little bit. Something a lot of good people could do any amount of magic in Photoshop and GIMP and all of that. I'm just a little concerned about the animations and everything like that. Story-wise and spec-op-wise, chapter-wise, that to me is the easy stuff, and that's the stuff that's getting crushed right now. Those teams are really doing a good job, and we've got a committee in place who will be looking at all the submissions and deciding on, like, you know, what gets in and everything like that. But I'm just getting a little concerned about the progress. And before everybody gets up in arms, I don't mean concerned the way we were concerned about GLB down the stretch. Everybody, I would think, would certainly not go that way. We're just wondering how things are going with the coding, because we kind of haven't heard in a little while. The teams are still working away. It's sort of like the Trojan horse that we're draping stuff on. Everybody's ready to put wood up. We have nails, we have wood, we have the beady little horse eyes and everything. We don't know how everything's going with the actual structure that we're going to put all this over. So hopefully we'll definitely start hearing about something soon. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a doomsayer. I think you guys know that. I cheerlead for this project as much as anybody, if not more. But, yeah, just I have some things I'm concerned with. So, before I leave you guys over here, I wanted to discuss one of the Specops that I was thinking of. This is my own idea. The writers group does not talk about what goes on in the writers group now. However, this was something I thought of before I got in, and I've not officially submitted yet, and it's my own idea, so I don't mind talking about it a little bit. I just wanted to get people's feedback on what they think of it. So, have it written down over here. It is the X-Men First Class Spec Ops. and the reward hero for it would be Darwin. Now, whether or not there would be alternative suits like for Havoc or something like that, um, that's a possibility. I didn't consider Mystique for this because there might be other plans for Mystique, and we've always kind of discussed that if Mystique is moved over to the hero side, there's literally nobody left to run the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants because Magneto switched over, Sabretooth has the palm in his head, so I left Mystique alone. Darwin was completely not in the universe of anybody having talked about it, so Darwin's a bruiser, high hit points, defense, and stamina, middle of the road accuracy, low attack, low evasion. So the PKB method is you gear him for hit points, defense, and accuracy, and you would pick defense over evasion. You could buff up his attack, but he's not really designed for that. So you would cap his defense and his accuracy, and you try to get the attack up. Skill number 1, Concrete Fist. He gains a stack of grit. He has a small, I would say medium chance to stun, and he also inflicts wide open. Skill number 2, Adaptive Response. This is where his bread and butter is. He taunts, gains fortitude, and a new buff called Survival of the Fittest. Survival of the Fittest makes Darwin adapt and take 75% less damage from the same attack type, but only triggers once per round. We'll get back to that. Skill number 3, Survive This. That's a reference to when Kevin Bacon takes the Havoc Blast and absorbs it as Sebastian Shaw and then puts it back in Darwin's mouth and he blows up. That's where the Survive This is. AoE, Catastrophic Ground Attack. It causes slowed. And skill number 4, Port. It starts cooled for 1 round so that it can't interfere with the AI trying to use Adaptive Response. It's a quick action, gains Rising Up, but he can't taunt for 1 round. There would be an AISO that guarantees Agile along with any of the other Rising Up buffs, gives him a small heal, and his EISO would be that he starts battle with Adaptive Response on, gives him 2 stacks of grit. So as you can see, he's not an offensive powerhouse, but he's a really, really annoying defender bruiser, especially in the beginning of the match, kind of like how Groot was when Groot first came out, especially on Guardian teams, and the badge. So the EISO means he's taunting from the very beginning of battle. The AI would use Adaptive Response in round 1, so he would essentially be definitely tanking for 2 rounds. Port is cooled so that the AI can't use it and screw up the tanking part of it. It's designed for the AI to use him as a tank when he's not being controlled by a human, and he's made to be an obnoxious tank but not a particularly aggressive one. However, yeah, so even if he does have the EISO, Port is still cooled down for the first round, so whether he has the EISO or not, that will never get in the way. So the general idea is he's very tough, he's an annoying tank defensively, he's not an offensive threat. The key to dealing with him is to cause his Survival of the Fittest to proc on something the rest of your team doesn't do. Example, you have Spitfire and Quicksilver. Well, no, that's a bad example, because if he has the EISO. Say you have 2 energy blasters, and your agent is physical based, melee based. The agent would hit Darwin, proc his Adaptive Response, which makes him take 75% less damage from melee, and then you let the energy ranged blasters take care of him. So essentially, it's something you've seen in World of Warcraft, it's something you've seen in Final Fantasy. Whatever is the first thing that hits him, he adapts to it and takes severely reduced damage by it, but it doesn't protect him from other things. If he gets hit by melee, range could still do normal damage, energy, radiation, gun, etc. So that's what he does. I, for some reason, thought that maybe he would be a little bit weaker to internal bleeding, but I don't know why I had that thought. I forget about my idea on that. The Specops would have a gear set that has Angel Sting, 1 round range energy, causes poison and burning. It sounds like the rocket pistol, but instead of burning and bleeding, it's poisoned and burning. And I got the idea from that when Angel was flying over the ships towards the end of the movie and spits on Banshee's wing and it begins to dissolve it. So poisoned and burning is what I thought of for that. Adaptability Armour. Obviously, that one's based on Darwin. 2 round cooldown, quick action gadget. All allies gain 1 stack of grit and a damage absorbing shield. I figure that actually goes very well with Darwin. So if you were, say, PvPing, your agent might want to run this on defense if you were running Darwin on defense. Banshee's Wail, 2 round cooldown, AoE, catastrophic, sonic. It does damage and pressure points. And then Refined Cosmic Blast, which would be based off of Havoc. 3 round cooldown, Radiation, Energy, AoE, Paragon Exploiter, Exploit Attrition, Exploit Stun, medium damage prior to beginning the exploitation. So if there's nothing to exploit, you don't really want it doing a lot of damage. But if you were running other X-Men First Class people or other X-Men First Class gear, poisoned and burning, there is your attrition. Banshee's Wail, there's your pressure points for the Paragon Exploiter. I think I got that one right. Yes, I did. Paragon was pressure points. Then it's almost kind of like a cosmic cube, but not nearly as strong. So that was my idea over there. I kind of thought, obviously, the end boss of it all would be Sebastian Shaw, that just reuses existing game, existing game assets, potentially make Emma Frost not available for the Specops because she's on the bad guy side, maybe even isolating some others, or make it like, I may have thought of making it a mutant and agent only related Specops over there. So anybody who has the X-Gene team up and everything like that. And yeah, that would even count Molly, which would be a little weird, but okay. I think a mutant only Spec Ops doing this with Emma being off the table could work, and really that's about the only one that would need to be off the table. Maybe there could be a heroic battle of Nightcrawler versus Azazel. That could be interesting. So that was my thought. I don't mind talking about it because it is my own idea. It is not official. It has not been voted on yet. I wouldn't push it through being like on the committee, be like, this is my work, we're going to do this. Like, that would never happen. It would still be a vote. So that's my thoughts. I'm sorry that here the first thing you guys hear me on the new year in relation to Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux sounds somber, but we're just hoping to get some progress soon and get some more content out to you guys. At least me doing some more videos on an upgraded version, potentially either a third alpha or a first beta that we can get uploaded and for you guys to try. Again, don't read the most doom and gloom to this. We are coming through a holiday season over here, and a lot of people get extremely busy and focus on family and everything, but yeah, I really couldn't sit on that emotion any longer and not get something out to you guys. I really did have to share that I'm just wondering about some of the mountains that we need to climb to get back a product that looks like what you see on the screen over here. Seeing Songbird, I do kind of miss her, and there's Fiza. Look, that's a hate, man. It's funny. I've seen so much hate after the game for Fiza and Cloak and Dagger. So many people like, oh, the game went to shit. First of all, everybody thought that when Kurth and Null showed up, and like, oh my, and then there were counters for them, and then they got nerfed a little bit, and then Fiza comes out and Cloak and Dagger comes out, and everybody's like, oh, it's crazy. There were so many good counters, especially to Cloak and Dagger being an infiltrator. I mean, Spitfire just chewed the shit out of that poor duo over there. By the way, good show. I mean, if you have the Fusion channel, go watch Cloak and Dagger. I thought it was good. People said it maybe gets a little too teenage angsty. Um, but yeah, I still thought it was good. I mean, they're dealing with teenage stuff. That's the setting, but so was Runaways, and I think Runaways is very good too. So, um, yeah, hopefully we get some good content out to you guys. The Cloak and Dagger haters, man, I'm just like, it slays me. It slays me to see how many people are so upset at Cloak and Dagger. Like, White Tiger and Warlock clearly were never intended to get into PvP. But Cloak and Dagger had counters, and even Fiza had some counters. Yeah, she was on my team there down the stretch a little bit, but not the way Spitfire and my own Cloak and Dagger. Wow, actually Songbird did quite a lot of damage there. Little laggy in the animation, but okay. Anyway, Happy New Year's, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about my X-Men First Class Spec Ops idea. And ironically, there's Mystique. There's another Spec Ops that I have an idea on too, but I will deal with that in a different video. So, take care, folks. Have a good one.